Greetings. It's your buddy, your pal, your friend, your teacher, your guide, Uncle Artist. The thing that makes the true master of his domain, a man that may be labeled as categorized as a pimp, a Mac. Our definition of a Mac: a man of aptitude, charm, and knowledge, a gentleman of leisure, a man who just is able to master his own fate, his own destiny. We all come into that level of mastery at different times, in different ways. And as a master, once you reach different levels, you are almost obligated, you're compelled to teach, to pour into those who are ready and willing to receive. I remember when I was young and was ready to receive, and I'm thankful for what I did receive when I received it. I would have appreciated more, but I'm truly grateful for what I did receive, because I took what I received and I am who I always wanted to be right now at this moment. And I'm still progressing towards, I'm always progressing towards mastery. That's the thing about this pursuit. You have to come to the realization, the sober realization, that this is a really, truly futile pursuit, but it's necessary. Self-mastery. And when it comes to mastery, a driving force of men we know is the compulsion, the natural compulsion to seek the affection of the opposite sex. Women are our greatest muse and motivation to, to pursue and to go after more. But the truly masterful individuals, those individuals who profess and possess the traits of a gentleman of leisure, a pimp, a Mac, a ladies' man. There's a mystical nature to it, right? The true masters understand how to yield the powers of the unseen, energy, and at its basic core is the principle of mentalism. The true masters really know what they're doing, know the alchemy that they're working with, the alchemy of the mind, because all is mind. The universe is mental, right? So, in any endeavor, in any field, in any skill, you have practitioners who are gifted, who understand their their craft at a certain level. And again, many have the natural proclivity to do it. Many have just the passion and the determination to excel in their craft, but really, again, don't have the true understanding. I heard Cameron say on his podcast. Shout out to Cameron and Mace. Love their podcast. Heard Cameron said and I resonated with this because I'm, as an athlete, I'm the same way. He said he didn't truly understand basketball until he stopped playing basketball. And I totally concur. I didn't understand basketball, the game of basketball, and I loved basketball growing up. I didn't understand basketball until I stopped playing basketball. And it's different when you are a practitioner of a game and you really understand it. You know what you're doing. You know why you're doing it. You know the preparation behind what you're doing. Two totally different mindsets. It's different levels, totally different levels, right? And so, thank God for mentorship, because some of the brothers that I had the pleasure of, I say figuratively, sitting at the feet of, humbling yourself to the information that they wanted to give. And again, it goes back to being someone who can receive. It's a virtue to be able to receive. And those who, again, have achieved levels of mastery, it's an inevitable outpouring that they will give, they will teach, but they will limit it to a willing and a ready and able student. So me being that, I was able to observe that the most masterful practitioners of the game, they knew exactly what they were doing to create this seemingly mystical environment, results, having things their way with women. There is the material manifestation, the material consumption, or what you can see, but it's always something deeper. It's not about the material. That's just the material will materialize in its own way. And again, that's the mystical nature of it. Everything that I've ever received, it came to me effortlessly. So the phenomenon that is the man who has his way, who's different, the phenomenon that is the man who is in rare company. How do you become that man? So I want to encourage my young men out there to, well, instruct a young man to learn principles. But what principles? There are different foundational rules that apply in whatever game you're playing, right? But the most important game that any of us are playing is the game of life. If you don't view life as a game as such, more power to you. I have had discussions with individuals as to why they take a certain offense to referring to life as a game. But as I always say, you judge a tree by its fruit. And these individuals who I've ever had that type of discourse with, does not bear enviable fruit. I'll leave it at that. So, the individuals, from my observation, that bear fruit, fruit worthy of taking notice of how to plant those same seeds. They view life as a game. They refer to game, the game, and often will refer to themselves as a player. So any game is going to have foundational principles. Principles are principles because they always apply. The game of life really has a few principles. Namely seven principles, and those who know, and this is really the foundation of what I'm saying, because those who really know what they're doing, like I mentioned before, they understand the laws, the seven hermetic principles from the Kabbalion. They've read the books like the Kabbalion. This is literature that I would strongly encourage young men to really get into as young as possible and as deep as possible. I really mean that, because you can survive without really just getting into this real deep knowledge, this esoteric knowledge. Like I mentioned before, you can play the game at a surface level, and the combination of different factors, namely your natural skill, some luck, different factors can contribute to you to winning. You can have your success, right? But if you want to create a strong foundation for sustained, long success, and success at a different level, success where you have autonomy. A pimp is autonomous. A Mac is autonomous. There's no other way to live. You can have a 9-to-5 job, but the autonomy in a Mac's life is It's a must, you know. And the Kabbalion, like I mentioned, this type of literature, this book, there's different versions. There's if you just type in the Kabbalion on YouTube, you can go down that rabbit hole. I won't specifically suggest because at different points I've refreshed my mind with different versions. I do this all the time. I have the 7 Hermetic Principles at various different places in my different offices or um, anywhere that I have the opportunity to create my environment. I want to keep those principles visible and always be able to tap into that energy and tap into that knowledge. Keep that as a reminder. Keep that embedded in me because as much as I am I'm a believer and a student of the Bible. Much of the Bible, there's no variation. The while you won't see the 7 Hermetic Principles expressly stated the way they are in the Kabbalion in the Bible, there's nothing that contradicts the Kabbalion in the Bible, and the Kabbalion from all reports or from all research or whatever predates the Bible. Okay, so you can learn about Hermes because that's the where it's based off of Hermetic. That's where the 7 Hermetic Principles. The term comes from Hermes Trismegistus. So this is deep knowledge that the real that I know that I was raised up under and learned from and go down the rabbit hole of knowledge of who they learned from. This is a man of aptitude, charm, and knowledge. When I say knowledge, this is knowledge that you get into, and it can be too heavy for certain individuals, and that is actually a, a foundation. When you read the Kabbalion, that's actually a quote in there: "The lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of understanding." So it's that notion of when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You have to be a receiver. You have to be a ready, willing receiver. You have to be a searcher. The Bible says, draw near to God and he will draw near to you. When the ears of the student are ready to hear, then cometh the lips to fill them with wisdom. So the teacher is not going to waste his energy on closed ears, closed minds. That's a principle and that's a tenet of being a man of aptitude, charm, and knowledge. And that's where the mysticism comes in. You can call it the, individual. A lot of people have got into the law of attraction, not understanding that the law of attraction, while a powerful law, is not master principle. It's part of the 7 Hermetic Principles, and we'll tackle all of those in time on different videos. But I wanted to set that up and let you understand the deeper knowledge, the deeper esoteric knowledge that's available to you. That really puts you in a different league, a different mindset, a different category of mastery. Right? So you become a student. And as a student of life, expanding your knowledge, your understanding, you don't become you are, as Frederick Douglass again. This is the game I'm giving you is reading knowledge. You know, so reading about the Kabbalion, reading about prominent figures in history. Frederick Douglass, what made Frederick Douglass who he was his ability to read. He was taught by his slave master's wife to read, how to read, and for a certain amount of time. She is the one who introduced him to books and taught him how to read until his slave master caught his wife teaching young Frederick Douglass how to read and scolded her and said, as Frederick Douglass quoted, if you teach a nigger how to read, if you give a nigger an inch, he'll take a foot. So his slave master said, and Frederick Douglass quoted in his book, if you give a nigger an inch, if you give a nigger an inch, he will take an L. Learning will spoil the best nigger in the world. If he learns to read the Bible, it will forever unfit him to be a slave. He should know nothing but the will of his master and learn to obey it. If you teach him how to read, he'll want to know how to write, and this accomplished, he'll be running away with himself. Right. And Frederick Douglass said those words had the most profound effect on him because it confirmed what was already in his soul, that he wasn't supposed to be a slave. There was a whole world available to him through knowledge, through education. All he had to do was know something and get somewhere. Right? And that's what he did. So that's how he transformed his life, through knowledge. And that's how you're going to transform your life. And it's depending on you how deep you want to go. And the principles are far deeper than one can fully comprehend. It's a really a lifelong process, and it's always a journey of deeper levels of understanding, and that's the beauty of it. It's the beauty of it. I always say, and that's why I am a willing and a eager teacher to those, and according to the philosophy, the Hermetic philosophy, to only teach to those who are prepared to receive. Right? And the advice, the game that I would give a young man is, the deeper your desire for deeper understanding of the universal laws, for the sake of the knowledge first. That's the one thing I want to emphasize to you and to a young man, is for the sake of the knowledge itself, the pursuit. That is all you could ever want, because according to the principles, we'll get into the actual science, into the actual alchemy, into the actual details of each principle. But in the principles, in there lies the the ability to become one who is without desire. Okay? And with that comes no expectation. But the beautiful thing is, you have all possibilities, because it's duality. It's a paradox. And that's one of the principles of duality. When you have no expectations, when you have the ability to have no desire, you have the ability to create anything you want. Now, what I just said right there, someone doesn't understand, and that's okay. It's always deeper levels, but what I'm saying is not wrong. Right? Polarity. Okay. Why am I saying that? Because you want women. Okay, let's get back to the practicality. We want shit. We want to do, be, and have stuff. Okay. Let's bring it back to the material world. We want to materialize things. We want to make this work for us. Okay, we have this knowledge. Again, you have the knowledge, you seek the knowledge for the sake of seeking the knowledge. But of course, our carnal nature is at play, is always at play. But it should never overtake. It should always be used just as a marker. Emotions can mark certain time periods. That's what nostalgia is all about. That's what trauma is all about, to one extreme, because there's a strong emotion tied to it. That's your subconscious is fueled by strong emotion. And that's it. That really is the only thing that your subconscious is fueled by: emotion, and repetition. Something that you're exposed to repeatedly will get into your subconscious, and that's what your life, the outpouring of your life will be from things that you consume continuously. And then things that you consume or experience that you have a strong emotion tied to, and whether it be a traumatic an event, just certain events that you have a strong emotion to, those are the things that are truly embedded in your subconscious, and that's what your life, the outpouring of your life comes from. Out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. The Bible says these things, right? As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? These are speaking about subconscious thinking and living. The outpouring of seeking this knowledge is you're going to be aware of yourself. So that comes down to, again, practicality. Is going to be, you're going to look at your experience, your relationship to food differently, your relationship to working out, to whatever you do to yourself. Jacking off, that's something that you do to yourself. Grooming, that's something that you do to yourself. You're going to look at your relationship with yourself differently. So you're going to treat yourself differently, and that's going to force people to treat you differently. And that's going to create a pruning process. It's going to create a growing process. It's going to be a whole different level of self-awareness, mindfulness, and that is energy. That's going to create a different energy field around you. You become magnetic. Your magnetic field increases significantly. And that's the power. And again, I don't want to get into things like semen retention and all these things. Again, that's going to be, I don't want to emphasize those things too much because a lot of it is pseudoscience, but it's not at the same time, because when you bust too many nuts, and it can be overstated. I don't want to get into the biomechanics of it because everybody is different, truly. But by and large, yes, you lose zinc. Zinc is a mineral or vitamin, however you describe it, classified in your body, part of your body that is that fuels your testosterone, other functions, right? And you lose that sometimes in significant amounts when you bust a nut. So that's some of the science behind semen retention. But there's other factors, and it can be overstated as far as semen retention. But I do encourage semen retention, at least I would say mindful semen retention at a certain level. Some people take it to extreme. I don't think that's necessary anyway, but I won't get into that. But you'll adopt different practices, and if feeding your flesh, if feeding your flesh, your lust, your pleasure is a part of your life, a habit in your life, then it'll be natural for you to replace that habit with something more productive. You will. And you can relapse. You can have seasons of regression. Okay, and that's all part of the journey. And as a Mac, we're not bulletproof. If you read any of any of your superheroes, your part of your superhero's journey is the fall, is a period of fall from grace, of a fall from grace. You know, that's a typical story arc in any hero's journey. A fall from grace, and then a redemption, right? So that's something that you can't even be afraid of that because you don't want to anticipate um, negative in your life, but you have to be very realistic and prepared for anything in your life. And calamity and folly and um, unfortunate happenings, uh, they happen to us all. They affect us all at some point. And I'm saying that because this knowledge, this game, will sustain you in those times. And it'll make you more resilient because there could be several instances of calamity. But when you truly become a practitioner of the game, and it's a game because your daily bread is all you could ever want on a day to day basis. And a man understands this. A real man, a true man. We're not even, a man understands this. That at the end, people say at the end of the day, at the beginning and the end of the day, all you could ever ask for is your daily bread, your food, clothing, and shelter. Everything after that is house money. So that's a different mindset to look at the world, and it allows you to it frees you. That's that autonomy I'm talking about. That's that freedom I'm talking about. It's a world free from ego, free from embarrassment. Who cares about embarrass? You don't even a pimp doesn't. A pimp is not embarrassed. A Mac is not embarrassed. Player is not embarrassed. A gentleman of leisure is not embarrassed. Doesn't get embarrassed. Um, might feel shameful, and that's self accountability. That's tied to self accountability. I'm ashamed. I might be ashamed because of what I failed to do, but I'm not embarrassed at things that were outside of my control. Anyway, you just are able to apply this wisdom that keeps you grounded through this experience. And if you can, as a young man listening under the sound of my voice, if you can harness the experience that I'm trying to extol to you right now, and that if you are a true seeker, will that you will inevitably magnetize it to yourself. Um, you can harness the experience of people like myself who are much older than someone. I'm speaking to someone maybe in their 20s. You can harness the experience of someone in their 30s, 40s, and beyond, and accelerate your growth. You'll still experience your own path that is unique to you. You'll still experience your own challenges, of course. That has to happen, but you can definitely um, your challenges can be a lot more on a different level than the challenges that I faced. You know, you could be you could easily be facing accelerate and be facing $100 million deal challenges at 27 years old, whereas I was not at 27 years old. I'll say that. I was doing things at 27 years old, but $100 million deal challenges I did not have. You can have those challenges, right? So that's what I say. We're going to talk about the 7 Hermetic principles one by one, how it relates to the game, how it relates to life, and we'll make it as practical as possible while still understanding that there's levels that we will not understand. But the pursuit in and of itself is the reward, and it will reap what the intended we will reap the intended rewards materially, in a way that that will always boggle our minds. I know for me, when I get out of order and try to make things happen through my own, and again, this is deeper knowledge that if you're not understanding what I'm saying right now, you won't understand. You just won't understand, and maybe you will have to revisit this video and at a different level, as long as you stay on the path of seeking, if you don't understand what I'm about to say. But the times when I get out of order, and when you are walking in a certain light, you will realize with the experience what is in a certain order, what is in alignment, and what is not, as far as your actions, as far as your thoughts, your actions, and so forth. When I execute actions that are not in alignment, when I think things, and again, think and then have the action that is not in alignment, sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it creates a bigger challenge than what could have been. Right? Sometimes I do nothing, which is in alignment, and I create exactly what I intended, usually way better than I could have really ever imagined. That's the mysticism. That's the alchemy. That's the and alchemy, by the way, the understanding of alchemy is turning different metals into gold. Right? That's been a ages old belief, pursuit, practice, philosophy, is being able to turn lead into a metal like lead, or I believe any other metal that's not gold, into gold. And to my knowledge, I don't think anyone has literally ever done that. There's legends associated with alchemy. Of course, there's a whole school of thought around alchemy, but nobody, I don't believe, literally has turned any particular metal, into actual gold that has all of the actual properties fully of gold. I don't think that's ever been done to my knowledge, but that's the whole school of thought. That's the whole legend behind it, right? And that's the whole pursuit. But then there's the that's on the actual side, but then there's the school of thought of the metaphorical and metaphysical thought around alchemy, turning something into gold. And a um, that's a thought for our lives, to make the best of things, right? To turn our situations, our challenging situations, our negative situations into situations that work for us. So that's all I have for right now. We'll talk more about it. Peace and blessings. Sayonara. Take care.